Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
What's up, you guys? You're tuning into the Morning Woodward Show on the Woodward Sports Network. I've got Jeff and Adam here. Obviously, we know what happened last night, but guys, we got to start on a good note. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Monday. We're going to have a great week, even though yesterday was a bit brutal for us Lions fans. Detroit fell late in the most dramatic and Lions-esque way possible to Baltimore. 19-17. You guys, recap this game for me, and what did you like? What didn't you like? Let's start with you, Jeff.
Well, let's just start with this. It was the most Detroit Lions way of losing, and I think we can all mutually agree on that. No matter how bad they played in the first half, the offense, they went scoreless in the first half. The defense did play pretty well throughout the game until that 4th and 19, which we'll talk about that at a later time. But the amount of BS as a Lions fan we get to witness on Sunday, Monday, Thursday night football, whatever the case may be, just amazes me. The Lions committed plenty of penalties through the first half. And it was some questionable coaching decisions that ultimately put them in some tough positions. But overall, they showed great flashes defensively without Trey Flowers, Okudah, Ifitu, missing some players. But until that 4th and 19 mistake that essentially cost the game, I mean, they didn't let Lamar run all over them. They got after him, made Lamar throw just 50% completion percentage with an interception. I mean, guys like Amani Oruwariye and Bobby Price made some plays in coverage. But I love what I saw out of Derek Barnes. I think me and Adam talked about what we were expecting out of him. I think he went down for a little bit with an injury, but for the entirety of the game, the guy was all over the field, man. He was getting after it. Big part of limiting the Ravens' rushing attack. He was all over the field. But on the offensive side of the ball, Jared Goff, his ending stats looked well. What was he, 22 for 30, 217, no touchdowns, no picks. But in the first half, the Lions couldn't get anything going. I think in the first quarter, they averaged 2.9 yards per play. 6 total passing yards the entire first quarter. 6 passing yards. T.J. Hockenson was limited. Khalif Raymond was their best receiver, along with DeAndre Swift, a running back. So that's not a positive. The offensive line didn't play as well as we'd expect. They had some penalties early on. Panay had a bad false start penalty, but other than that, they kept the game close. They fought, yes. The only thing I would have to say about these Detroit Lions is each game so far in this season, they've just pick and choose when they wanted to play well. The first game, it was the second half, the fourth quarter, more importantly. The second game versus the Packers, it was the first half, it didn't do anything the second half, and then now this game, it is the second half. So it's just they're picking and choosing when they're playing. They're choosing to play well. That's the frustrating part. And
that's the sign of a young football team, and that's what you expect from this team. They've offered nothing but Jekyll and Hyde performances from half to half over their first 3 games. Granted, against 3 teams we consider playoff contenders, but regardless, very inconsistent. You're talking shutout in the first half against Green Bay, in the second half against Green Bay. Shutout in the first half against Baltimore. You can't afford these things to happen. From an offensive standpoint, forget what we think of the defense and how they're 7-8 players away. On offense, you have T.J. Hockenson. You have 2 dynamic backs. You have a top 10 offensive line. That is inexcusable. But let's start with the offense. They punted on their first 6 possessions and were scoreless on their first 7. Second half, they score on all 3 possessions. 2 touchdowns and a field goal. There you go. Controlled, 18 minutes of the clock by doing so of a 30-minute half? Okay. The defense is what you got to walk away from and be like, all right. The defense stood out. They were able to get a pass rush on Lamar Jackson. He looked flustered in the second half. Granted, in the first half, and I got to give Lamar Jackson credit. You know, I'm one of the guys that he needs to throw the ball more consistently. He was throwing the ball real good that entire game. His teammates, most notably Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown they call him, let him down big time. But regardless, let's keep it rolling. A.J. Parker stood out. Derek Barnes stood out. Alex and even Anzalone stood out. Like, there was improvement. And when I tell you guys, don't pay attention to the win-loss record, this is what I mean. Look for your young players to come out and improve. You're looking for player and team development. Are my coaching staffs making improvements week to week? Is my offense making strides week to week? Defense. Individually, how's A.J. Parker doing? How's Derek Barnes doing? How's DeAndre Swift? How's Khalif Raymond, let's say, even Amon-Ra St. Brown? How are they improving week to week? That's what you need to look for this entire season. But unfortunately for the Detroit Lions, they lost in a way that only the Detroit Lions know how to lose. And that's where a good friend of ours is joining the show today. Our very own Lions beat reporter who was there for it all, watched it all unfold. I'm not even sure he's gotten any sleep. Our very own Corey Woods. Corey, how you doing, man?
I'll start by saying this because I wrote notes down so I wouldn't lose my track. That's what happens when you have post-concussion syndrome, people. But anyway, let's go back to what you said about the mood, what happened yesterday. As a fan, before you're taking the job, as a fan, you watch those Lions moments, and you see them at home, and you're kicking, you're mad as hell. You're like, oh God, another Lions moment. But you're hurt. But I've never actually been in Ford Field for a Lionized moment. So being in there and watching the stadium, watching how loud it was, because you know he's not going to. Well, you don't know that, but it's the Lions, but. He's lining up for a 66-yard field goal.
You were baptized yesterday.
And you see that moment live. You're like, oh, it's different being in person. I've never heard a stadium go that loud, that silent, that quickly.
It didn't surprise me. It kind of walked me through the. I mean, if you want to go through the game, be my guest. But really, the fourth quarter, what the hell happened?
All right, well, I'll start in reverse because I'll go with my negatives first. So let's go back to that fourth quarter. They played well, but I specifically want to go to that. First off, I want to get this out the way. I do not want to hear about this Lamar Jackson delay of game. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear it. Because the reason I don't want to hear it is there were several coaching errors where that should not have been even a discussion. Yes, the Lions lose off of some BS from the refs all the time. It's in the history. At the same point, you cannot put yourself in position to get screwed by the refs. They put themselves in a position to get screwed by the refs. First off, let me go back to the red zone. When they were in the red zone in the last couple of minutes, they settled for the field goal.
They ran the ball 3 times.
First off, if you want to run the ball, fine, I'm cool with that. But the plays that they ran got nothing done. You have this kicker in there you're setting him up for a 35-yard long field goal, and that's the longest of his career. Wouldn't you just run the ball or run better plays to get him a little bit closer and run that clock out?
Corey, this is what I want to ask you, because that's exactly something I have in my notes. Corey, let's not forget how they got there. Before they ever had a red zone opportunity, okay? Jared Goff, on that drive, was 3 for 3.
Yep.
65 yards through the air. And you stopped. Baltimore was reeling. They were breaking down. And not only did you make that mistake on offense, Corey, they went and turned it around and did the same thing on defense. You put pressure on Lamar Jackson 3 straight plays. You made him run for his life. And what do? You give him a timeout.
Let me get there.
I'm going to let you go. But, those are the two things that are inexcusable. I don't want to hear the refs. We saw what happened yesterday with San Francisco and Green Bay. It happens across the league. The Saints were costed an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. And we want to talk about a Week 3 loss. Go ahead, Corey.
But, again, you're in that red zone. You're going against Baltimore. You're going just at any point, you settle for the field goal, you set yourself up to get bitten ass. And that's exactly what they did. I felt that they should have tried to get the first down and then go for the field goal, or just try to go for the touchdown and then just to ice the game. But you know what? It is what it is. You go for the field goal. I think it's stupid because why? Justin Tucker's already kicked the 61-yarder against the Lions in his pass before the game. There's video of him drilling 60-yard field goals.
Did you see the video prior to the game of the Lions kicker missing every single field goal leading up to this? That was the most suspenseful moment, I think, of the game prior to the field goal.
Look, kick the field goal, whatever, fine. What, 17,
16.
Cool.
Yep.
So, Ravens get the ball back. I'm just like, damn, defense played phenomenal all game. They're tired of this, so you're going to make them go out there for Lamar one last time?
Right.
Crap. But they do it. 2 sacks, incomplete pass, 4th and 19. You got them reeling. Why do you call a timeout when you got the momentum? I don't understand it. Maybe I don't know enough football. I'm just sitting there like, why would you call a timeout when you got the momentum going? Ford Field is rocking. You got this guy rattled. Why are you calling a timeout? The defense is doing their job. Let's see what happens. But the thing is, okay, you call a timeout. When you call the timeout, how do you come out of the timeout and give up a 4th and 19?
Yeah.
That's where it's like it's inexcusable. If you want to call a timeout, fine. But you call a timeout, then you give up the 4th and 19. I just don't get it. But let me just go right into my negatives, and I'll go over it. First off, Hollywood Brown was the best wide receiver in the Detroit Lions yesterday, and they did nothing. They did not capitalize off of that. I still see some undisciplined things in them. Granted, the Ravens had 6 penalties, but we're not talking about the Ravens. The Lions had 7 penalties, 2 of them from Jonah Jackson, I believe, on the same drive that were just ugly. When he went to the sidelines, I don't think Dan chewed him out, but I saw they exchanged some words. And, Dan, he had to do that. But I'm going to go into some positives because we've already talked about the negatives. This team competes for Dan Campbell. Off of the first 3 games that I've seen, if that were Jim Caldwell, if that were Matt Patricia, those guys would have folded like a cheap tin and mailed it in.
But how long does that last now? So here's where I'm going to take that with, and I want your thoughts on this, Corey. Jim Schwartz walks in, I believe, 6-10 year one?
Yes.
And then 10-6, and then 7-9. Or no, 10-6, 4-12, and then 7-9 proceeded to get fired. That persona will last you a few seasons if the team gets built together, but they play for Dan Campbell. Like, that's kind of your job. I love the grit. It's really good, but like, I'm not going to look way too much into it. It's kind of sad that we're talking about all these negative things on a Monday morning where the Lions actually put together, I want to say, 35 minutes of pretty competitive football.
They did. Right here, like, first off, Aaron Glenn, got to give it props to him. That was the best I've seen his defense play all season. All season, 3 games, first 3 games. Best I've seen his defense play. They've gotten better each week. I think they took a page out of the Raiders book because they put some serious pressure on Lamar Jackson. Sacked 4 times, 5 hits. The Raiders, they had 3 sacks, 8 hits. So great job there. The Chiefs, they didn't really do too much to Lamar. So it was good to see the Lions defense improve in that aspect. But I think with Dan Campbell, this is a talent devoid team. And we're starting to see it. If he had a couple of better playmakers, I believe they would at bare minimum be 2-1. I think that they could have pulled out that Packers game. Actually,
I don't think they have an offense.
They don't.
Yeah, capable enough of winning any game.
No.
You also gotta think about this too. Jared Goff. Whatever you think about the Lions wide receiver to start the season, it is what it is. But Jared Goff. He comes in, he's starting training camp thinking he's going to have Tyrell Williams, Brashad Perriman, and probably maybe Quintez Cephas at the number 3. Now you're in week 3, and
Khalif
Raymond, Quintez Cephas, Amon Ra, Kadero Hodge, and Benson, guys who just come here. The only guy he really has the real chemistry with is T.J. Hockenson. So yes, there were some things that Jared Goff did that yesterday that I did not like. But at the same time, it's obvious that the chemistry is not there with those guys. So
Fair enough.
It's hard to really judge how good or bad he is because he doesn't have any real viable options.
I've got a lot to say about Jared Goff later on in the show, but it's very evident he's a check down king right now.
But yeah, his running backs are leading receivers.
Yeah, he's not making all the reads. And granted, they may not be open all the time.
That's a key part.
He is quick to pull the trigger on that check down. But Corey, we got to head to break. When we get back, we've got a lot to talk about on how the final 2.5, 3 minutes really unfolded. Corey, if you will, stick around and we'll get into that. But before we go, Jeff, why don't you tell everybody about our friends at Northwestern Tech?
Yeah, if you or anybody you know needs to start a new career making, $70,000 right out of class, you go to Northwestern Tech because you can start a very brand new career in an industry that is always essential, the heating and cooling industry. You can learn more today by visiting northwesterntech.edu.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. And at Hall Financial, we treat our clients like family. And our number one priority is giving each of our clients 5-star service. Our passion for 5-star service, combined with our expertise, allows us to find the best possible solution for refinancing your home loan. We take the time to focus on both the individual and the numbers. We're going to walk you through the process and close your loan in half the time of our competition. Go to davidhallmortgage.com today.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show. We are joined by Woodward Sports' very own Detroit Lions beat reporter Corey Woods. Corey, thanks for being on this morning. We kind of already recapped what had gone on, your takeaways early on, but really what we want to focus on is how did this unfold? How could the Lions have lost in such a fashion? Granted, the odds of the fourth and 19. Granted, the odds of a 66-yard field goal going in. How did the Lions put themselves in this position to even lose this game, Corey?
They weren't disciplined. They weren't disciplined throughout the game. And I think the biggest thing was I didn't necessarily agree when Dan Campbell said this on Monday, but I agree with it yesterday. That was on the offense. That first half, when the defense has Lamar Jackson reeling like that, when they're playing lights off the way they do, you have to put points on the board, regardless of whether Lamar Jackson is hurt, sick, whatever, whether he's having a bad day. This guy is a former NFL MVP. He's going to figure it out at one point. He can be on his worst day, and he's going to find a play.
Right.
He's going to make a play. You cannot let sleeping dogs lie. They should have put this – they would have put up at least 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. I mean, or in the first half. We wouldn't be talking right now. The offense, once again, is slow to get out the gate. So that's something that they got to – that's really what my major takeaway was, because I can't really say the defense did anything wrong. I think they played as – I thought Lamar Jackson was going to come into town and destroy them, because we've all seen how the Lions are playing against the run, and we see that once Lamar Jackson gets out the pocket, it's a wrap.
Right. They
played as well against Lamar Jackson as I've seen. So I have nothing to say for the defense. It was really all the offense. They're in this position. They lost that game because they could not put any points up on the board.
Fair enough. Jeff, your thoughts?
Towards the end of the game, just overall thoughts. Well, there's a couple things I didn't like. We already hinted at it before, but definitely the decision to take a timeout. I mean, you heard Lamar Jackson. We'll get to that later in the show, but his thoughts on Dan Campbell taking the timeout, how it actually benefited him, and how he was able to audible and change the play. But that I didn't like at all. That's just something hopefully he needs to correct as a coach, Dan Campbell, because that comes with experience. You learn, because look what happened. You made a former MVP, changed the play, and look what happened. He adjusted. They committed a 4th and 19, and the rest is history. But the completion to Sammy Watkins, putting them in range for a 66-yard field goal, and then you see the clear as day delay of game penalty, which I agree with Corey. It should have never gotten to that point, because you can hang your hat on it, but at the end of the day, we're used to this. The Lions losing because of the refs isn't nothing new, but putting ourselves in a position to lose to the refs is not new as well. So it is what it is. I mean, it would have been too far for Justin Tucker to dink from the crossbar if that delay a game penalty was called. It would have been, a 71-yard field goal. So it is what it is. With that being said, a loss is a loss. You take some things from it. I agree with Corey in terms of the defense. They played absolutely extremely well, and to be scoreless in the first half when the Ravens only have 10 on the board, you got to capitalize on that. At least get a score or something on the board, because the defense was coming in for you. When the past 2 games they've given up 30 plus and then 41 in the first game, so they needed to capitalize on it. And as good as the Lions are in the red zone, I believe they're 10 for 10 in the red zone. They're great in the red zone. The offense, last game in the first half to the second half, and then this game to the second half, they just haven't been playing consistently. And I would put my hat on, Jared Goff not having a really number one wide receiver. You have a kick returner as your number one, leading your team in receiving yards, and usually the second or third guy is running back. So it's a tough situation. I mean, Goff's trying to make chicken soup out of chicken but it is what it is. It's Jared Goff at the end of the day. I mean, our expectations can't be extremely high, but 0-3 is 0-3. I did say at the beginning of this season, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions go 0-3. It's just the fashion they win 0-3 isn't as good as isn't as well as I predicted. But at the end of the day, you take some things from it, and what Adam said, I was going to mention too earlier, is the fact that the Lions have been playing so inconsistent. The first game they played great in the second half. The second game they played well in the first half. And now this game they completely got shut out in the first half, played well in the second half. I guess that is the sign of a young team. That's a sign of a team that hasn't found an identity yet. And hopefully throughout the season, when we start versing the Cincinnati Bengals, you got the Bears next week, you start seeing some better things on film. But until then, I mean, what can you take from this game besides the coaching errors and the penalties that ultimately costed them the ball game? So, I mean, that's really all I took from it.
I gotta say one thing. Put the camera on Adam. I want to see his face for this one. We gotta get this reaction.
All right.
My friend Ant.
Yes.
Had a 16 leg parlay.
Don't tell me he did.
If the Lions didn't cover, he would have won 18,000. The Lions covered. He had every leg on the parlay but that. If the Lions didn't cover, he would have won 18,000.
Poor guy.
That guy's having a worse day.
I have a very strict rule.
He's had a miserable night.
I have a very strict rule that I rarely ever jump off of, and that's betting on a Lions football game. I can't, because when I bet for them, they screw me. When I bet against them, they screw me. There's no way around it. Corey, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
No problem.
We appreciate it,
Corey.
man. Thanks for the insight. We got to continue. How could this happen, you ask? Well, unfortunately, the Lions have a knack of allowing these type of things to happen late in the game. And again, I want to address the drive where Detroit was going down. They had all the momentum. They were running the ball pretty well. Jared Goff, again, 3 for 3.
Right.
For 65 yards heading in to the 2-minute warning. And here we go. Detroit's driving, and they get conservative. Oh, Adam, Dan Campbell, he's going to bite kneecaps. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to go for it. I tried telling you this. I find it ironic that when he's in the position, which he'll learn from, but regardless, when you're in the position where you could put your balls on the table, go out and do something significant. Take the ball away from Lamar Jackson. Don't even give him an opportunity, similar to what John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson did last week against Kansas City. They went for it on 4th and 1. What do? You just run the ball 3 times, very pedestrian-like, and you settle for the field goal. Oh, my goodness, Dan. You have a lot to learn. It's still early. But you see what happens? Everybody can talk and talk and talk the talk. We're going to bite kneecaps. We're going to go for it. We're going to be aggressive in late game situations. We are going to be so aggressive that it's going to fluster and overwhelm you. And what happens? They get conservative on offense. They take the ball out of the quarterback who was actually driving the ball and moving it downfield with relative ease. And then they flip it on defense. They get the pressure. Everything is going well. And they call a timeout. And they give the offense a breather. And then on defense, what do? They play the odds. They play conservatively. When not playing conservatively is what put them in the situation to win. How ironic is that? Mr. I'm biting kneecaps and I'm going to be aggressive all year. It's easy to do that when you're not playing to win the game. What happens when you're trying to win a football game? So reminiscent of a Jim Caldwell decision. So reminiscent of a Jim Schwartz decision. They all are just talk. And unfortunately, that was a clear example of being all talk. Whether you like it or not. You had the opportunity to throw the game away. Well, you did throw it away, but you had an opportunity to really assert yourself.
Yeah.
Why run it 3 straight times? What are you doing? What are we doing here if you're not trying to actually win football games? You had an opportunity. Granted, oh my goodness. Granted, it took everything that could have gone wrong to go wrong for you to lose that game. But still, regardless, you had an opportunity and you blew it. Kennedy, You're finally back. I wanted your take on the last few minutes of the game.
I fell asleep after like halfway through the second quarter, and I woke up to like, hi fish.
I'm going to kill you guys. All right, anyways, that's great. Let's move on. Jeff, wrap this up for me, please, if you don't mind.
Listen, I will play devil's advocate real quick just to end this conversation. We'll get to it at a later time. But Angelina made a good point in the chat. They said, why trust a quarterback who's known for turnovers, Adam, in that position?
Up. Oh, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Are you serious? Why trust the quarterback that on that drive was 3 for 3 for 65 yards? You had all the momentum. Baltimore were reeling. And you decide to play conservative. And then, of course, you give Lamar Jackson and company the ball back. You actually sack him twice, force him out of the pocket. He runs for his life to try and throw the ball away on second down. You have a third and 19, actually. Now it's 4th and 19. What do? You give the guy that's been running for his life the 3 prior plays a breather. Fantastic. Fantastic. Dan Campbell's a young coach. He's got a long way to go. These are just mistakes you make when you're inexperienced.
Right.
And you haven't been in a position to actually win a football game. But again, how ironic is it that when you have the opportunity to actually be aggressive and take the ball out of your opponent's hands and close the game for good, you settle for the conservative route? How ironic. How funny is that? How else could the Lions have lost that game? That was the only way they were going to lose that game. That was the only way they were going to lose that game. Why? Because they have a beautiful habit of losing games no team in the NFL would ever lose. Kennedy.
Yeah, okay, I'm back. Fish gave me dead batteries, so no one come at me. Come at Fish, okay? Love him, though. All right, next, we're going to talk about my guy, Matthew Stafford, taking on those Super Bowl champs, the Bucks. Stick around for that. But before we go, we need to hear about our friends over at MyBookie.
All right, guys, it's betting season. You know what to do. It's all about making money. If you bet like and did Corey's friend, you probably lost money betting on the Lions to actually not cover. He took the Ravens. But regardless, it's a great weekend. Bet from anywhere, anytime using the MyBookie app. Again, sign up using code Woodward. They're still matching dollar for dollar. You put in 100, you'll get 100. There's no offer better than that. I would recommend it. Again, it's football season. There's no better time to bet. And, of course, tonight, Monday Night Football. Where else do you want to bet? Visit mybookie.com. Again, use code Woodward to sign up, and we'll see you right after the break. Remember, if you do have a gambling problem, please call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 888-223-3044. We'll see you after the break.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. All right, so the Rams beat the Bucks last night 34-24. The Bucks just did not have an answer for Stafford in that passing attack. I absolutely loved watching it because you guys know I still love Stafford, and if that makes me a bad Lions fan, then so be it. I want to see him thrive. But Adam, I need you to tell me, were the Rams right to trade for Stafford, and was he the problem here in Detroit?
Stafford was never the problem in Detroit. Let's just get that off the table right now. I don't want to hear it. Now, was he the complete solution? No, but when you play for the worst franchise in the NFL over the last 60 years, that's a difficult hurdle to overcome. It's a very difficult hurdle. And if anything, Stafford has shown you that this team was him going down away from being one of, if not the worst team in football. He had been carrying them for the longest time. Again, granted, horrible record against winning football teams. 0 division titles, 0 playoff games. Well, the Lions really don't have a track record of doing any of that anyways. So before we hold a quarterback, you're really only true franchise quarterback in your franchise's history accountable for any of this, let's keep in mind what Stafford has done in 3 games compared to the 12 years he's been in Detroit. I'll start with this. In his 12 years in Detroit, Stafford only managed to throw for over 320 yards, 3+ touchdowns without throwing an interception 5 times in 12 years. 5 times. So typically, you'd imagine when Stafford would go for yards, all the touchdowns, everything looked great. He would also turn the ball over. He wasn't as efficient, and he's 3 games into his LA tenure. He's already done it twice. How ironic is that? Surrounded by the best coach he's ever had, the best offensive weapons he's ever had. Yes, I'm including that over the Calvin Johnson days. The best scheme he's ever been a part of. The defense is one of, if not the best defense he's ever been a part of. And do I have to remind you that the LA Rams organization is nowhere near as dog shit as the Detroit Lions organization? So what happens? What do you need in the NFL to win? You need the front office to be stable. You need the right GM. And you need the head coach. And you need the quarterback. And when you have all of those pieces, you are viable contenders for a 10 to 14-year stretch, regardless of what you surround your quarterback with. Go look at Russell Wilson. The defense has been subpar, and he somehow keeps them relevant and in games for the last 4 or 5 seasons, ever since they blew up the Legion of Boom. But let's focus on Stafford. Not only were the Rams right to trade for Stafford, the Lions were right to trade away Stafford. The Detroit Lions were never going to build a winner around Matthew Stafford. They are incapable of doing so. They couldn't build a winner around Matthew Stafford if the blueprint was right in front of their faces, which it has been for the last 20 years. But regardless, the Lions walked away with a bridge quarterback and 2 first-round picks, draft capital, which they do need considering this roster is probably 8 defensive starters and maybe 2 offensive starters away from really being a good football team. So that's a lot of players to fill up. That's a lot of void in the roster. And if you just look at Sean McVay, how funny. Jared Goff took them to the Super Bowl. Jared Goff won them playoff games. Jared. Sean McVay is now 40-0 when walking into halftime with a lead. Jared Goff, prior to that, I believe was 37-0. What happened his first game? He had a lead. He lost it. And somebody else in Los Angeles is chugging along just fine. Detroit Lions fans, please accept Matthew Stafford was never your problem. If anything, he was somewhat part of the solution. But your franchise, your organization could never surround him with a capable head coach, with a capable roster outside of maybe 2 years given. So 2 out of the 12 years, you actually surrounded him with something good. But I can point to those 2 years and say, well, the coaching was kind of mediocre. Jim Schwartz? Stafford was what, 23 in that? 23 that season that they went 10-6 under Jim Schwartz. He balled out in the playoffs, but the defense gave up over 40 points. Okay, move on. Jim Caldwell, that's what you're going to hang your hat on. None of the coaches that Matthew Stafford has ever been coached by can sniff the jockstrap of Sean McVay. And that is why the Rams have not only won this trade already, they won a ton of locker room credit yesterday. To beat the defending Super Bowl champions, granted with secondary issues right now, they beat them at home. And they didn't just beat them close where they walked away with it. No, they were in full control of that football game for all 60 minutes. And you know what Stafford didn't do? He didn't turn the ball over against a winning team. When has that ever happened? It's crazy. It's crazy how when you leave a toxic situation, how good, how happy you can become. Jeff, your thoughts on Matthew Stafford?
No, I mean, you were speaking facts. At the same time, Matthew Stafford, if you look at the trade itself, let's just look at what was dealt. You got Jared Goff going to the Lions, and then Matthew Stafford going to the Rams. The Rams giving us 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick. If you had to ask me, Jeff, who won the trade, I wouldn't necessarily say the Rams won the trade because the Lions got a haul for Matthew Stafford and a first-round pick, a former first overall picks, excuse me. But at the end of the day, I think both teams won the trade. I mean, you got Matthew Stafford. When they acquired Stafford, it was Sean McVay's Sean McVay's dream quarterback, a guy who could sling it, make pretty much any throw on the field. And he's a veteran. Matthew Stafford's a gunslinger. He fits perfectly in the West Coast offense. Got a guy in Jared Goff who is limited. He tends to, turn the ball over, whether it's interceptions or it's fumbling the ball. Sean McVay, whatever he was willing to pay, got rid of Jared Goff. And you could look at Matthew Stafford's record against good teams all you want, 8-67. That says more about the organization he was a part of than his actual skills. Yes, he has the most fourth quarter comebacks, because the Lions are always down. But at the same time, the skill's always been there. The ability to build a team around Stafford hasn't been. Obviously, you had a couple teams. You had 2014. You had a couple teams that were able to go to the playoffs. But at the same time, this Rams team, to have Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald on your defense, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, you have Deshaun Jackson now. They had Cam Akers until they lost him with an injury. But before then, God, it's a nice offense, great offense. You got Sean McVay. This is his dream situation, and I'm not surprised they're 3-0, as they should be. Matthew Stafford's playing amazing football, but at the end of the day, I think it was just a good trade for both organizations. Jared Goff gets a new situation. The Lions get 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick. And then the Rams essentially give away tons of assets, but they get the quarterback they've always wanted in their system. So it was a win for both franchises. It just...
losers in the chat like Jonah. Unbelievable. Look at this. Unless Stafford takes them to the Super Bowl, then it was a failed trade for the Los Angeles Rams, Adam. Goff got him to a Super Bowl and was winning playoff games. Look at Jared Goff now. He's nothing more than a check-down, conservative quarterback. And go look at the Los Angeles Rams, my friend. They're playing the best football we've seen them ever play, and that's including their Super Bowl year. Keep in mind, they had Todd Gurley, the best offensive line in the NFL. They had the same dynamic wide receiving and tight end core. Their defense, granted it was ranked 15, was still full of studs. Aqib Talib, Aaron Donald. Do I need to continue? Before you sit up here, unbelievable. Fish, is my mic muted? Because I will kill you.
It's good now. I did it on purpose.
All right, fair enough. Regardless,
no, I'm joking.
Regardless. God, you guys are throwing me off today, honestly. This is really frustrating. Kennedy, we have Overreaction Monday coming up next. But before we go, Jeff, just give me your answer. Was Stafford the problem? If he wasn't, why?
Absolutely not. And we both alluded to it earlier. It has more to do with what was built around him. He didn't have a Sean McVay. He didn't have an Aaron Donald, a Jalen Ramsey. Yes, he had a Ndamukong Suh and Darius Slay, all their defensive players, but this defense is different. And the team he has around him is very new to him. It's different. The best defense in football, I would say, on paper. And then you have a coach in Sean McVay, which they're pretty much adjoined at the hip. So that would be my answer. He was not the problem, and it's being displayed right now in front of all of our eyes.
I like it, Jeff, and I agree with you. But, all right, you guys, when we come back, like Adam said, we've got Overreaction Monday, one of my favorite segments that we do on this show. But before we go, I need to tell you about my new friends and my new sponsor at Legacy Partners. Wow. When you watch games, you're always bombarded by insurance ads promising to save you money. But listen to me, friends. If you actually want to save money, you need my new sponsor, Legacy Partners Insurance. They're independent, so they shop between 7 to 10 carriers for your insurance to make sure you have the best deal. Here's what I want you to do. I need you to call 586-209-4106 and tell them that Kennedy sent you, not Maz. I know we've got a hashtag Team Maz going around here. Hashtag Team Kennedy is in the process of being built, okay? So just for getting a quote and calling them and telling you that I sent you, you'll get put in a drawing for a $50 gift card. So go to or call Legacy Partners, ins.com/Woodward today. Remember, Kennedy sent you. All right, we'll see you after the break.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust-resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Woodward Show on the Woodward Sports Network, featured on the Roar 93.5 FM, 99.1 FM, and 94.7 HD2. Happy to have you here. It is Monday. We're having a very Monday-esque show, but thank you for sticking around right here with us. It's time for my favorite segment, Overreaction Monday. Adam, I always know you have a ton, so let's start with you.
All right, my first Overreaction Monday. The Los Angeles Chargers are AFC contenders. And Justin Herbert has already put himself into the top 8 conversation of quarterbacks in the NFL. He's not only elite, he has been elite. And it's been so impressive to watch. We saw him grow and mature over last season. He's carried it right on into this season. They're 2-1. They're sitting comfortable. Big win against Kansas City. I really like what's going on. And I told you last season, Anthony Lynn underperformed with that Los Angeles Chargers roster. He just did. They won 5 games way too late into the season. Granted, Darwin James was out, but that defense was relatively still there. The offense wasn't as dynamic. Granted, Austin Eckler was out, but still. That team was capable of winning 8-9 games, regardless of injuries. And now we're going to see them contend probably for the AFC West and for the AFC. The Chargers are going to be a tough out. My Overreaction Monday, they are definite AFC contenders this season. Jeff?
My Overreaction Monday would be the Steelers may finish last in the AFC North. I don't know why. This team is god-awful. And we alluded to it earlier, I think, when we started talking about our top 10 teams, like the Pittsburgh Steelers are phonies, and I completely agree. Ben Roethlisberger looks like a shell of himself. Najee Harris can't run behind that offensive line, and you got the Bengals who are on the rise. So the Ravens, Browns, and Bengals, I got the Steelers last in the AFC North. That's my Overreaction Monday. What do you think about it?
My second Overreaction Monday is revolving around the Steelers. Big Ben is done. He's done.
Yeah, he is.
He's washed up. He's not only washed up, he is one of, if not the worst quarterback in the NFL right now. Mm-hmm. He just is. Retire. Pittsburgh, you've been 4 or 5 years too late on finding his successor. It's really time to consider it. You should consider tanking. You really should. This is awful. This guy can't throw a lick anymore. He can't take the hits like he used to. It's caught up with him. Move on from Big Ben. He's nothing but a turnover machine. His first 10, 12 years in the league, very good, if not great quarterback. Deserves to be a Hall of Famer. Well-accomplished quarterback. He's no longer that. We're not talking about Big Ben's career. We're talking Big Ben the last 3 seasons. And for the last 3 seasons, he's done nothing. We saw them start, 10-0 last year? What did he do? He threw away the season, like he always does with the amount of interceptions he throws. Good luck. Good luck. Pittsburgh need a quarterback. Big Ben isn't it, and I can make the argument he's one of, if not the worst quarterback in the NFL right now.
My next Overreaction Monday is you look at the MVP discussion. You got your Matthew Stafford. You got your Matthew Stafford. You got your Josh Allens, and then you know what? You got your Derek Carrs, because Derek Carr, as of right now, he's playing great football. Raiders are 3-0. Josh Jacobs out. He's had no run game. He had Peyton Barber play well last night. That's an anomaly. He's not going to play well again. And then he has no really clear-cut number 1 wide receiver. Henry Ruggs isn't consistent, and he has Darren Waller. That's it. And the guy's playing great football. I think he has 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, leading the Raiders to things I did not expect of. So Derek Carr is in my MVP conversation as of right now, and I just absolutely love the man, because me and Adam go back and forth. We talk about it all the time. If you put Derek Carr on like a Cleveland Browns, for example, he could do wonders. So I got Derek Carr. He's in my MVP conversation right now.
Wow. Finally, somebody coming around here at the network talking about Derek Carr in a positive way. My next overreaction, the Indianapolis Colts need to move on from Carson Wentz. They need to go trade for Nick Foles. Granted, the season is already over. They're 0-3. They're not winning their division. The Colts need to tank and go get a quarterback, or they need to play Eason and figure out if he's the quarterback and just dump Carson Wentz. I am tired of Carson Wentz. He is beyond a scrub. He doesn't deserve to be a backup in this league. I'm over it. I'm over the Colts. I'm over this roster. I'm over everything about Carson Wentz. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Whew. Get Carson Wentz away from me. What a waste of a roster. Seriously.
You can't say
Michael
either.
Pittman Jr., a young, up-and-coming wide receiver. You have a dynamic backfield. Jonathan Taylor, Naheem Hines. You have one of the best O-lines in the NFL.
Defense.
Your defense isn't all that bad. Darius Leonard leading your defense.
Kenny Moore.
Because you can't get the quarterback right, that's what happens. That's what happens.
I agree with you. My last overreaction, it's not much of a overreaction. It's more just stating a fact. But the Rams are the best team in the NFL right now on both sides of the ball. And the defense is playing amazing football. And Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay are I don't know. They're making magic in the booth. So you know what? I got the Rams. That's my overreaction. Not necessarily. I think it is kind of a fact. Kansas City's look bad, and they just beat the number 1 team on our power ranking. So yeah, they're the number 1 team in the NFL to me on both sides of the ball. And I don't know how long they'll stay there, but they proved it yesterday on Sunday.
Fair enough. All right, I have 2 more, but he kind of already touched on it with Derek Carr being an MVP. I think that's too much. I don't think he's in the MVP discussion yet, but he's one of only 2 other quarterbacks. So there are 2 other quarterbacks outside of Derek Carr, so 3 total, in the last 2 seasons to suit up for all 16 games and throw single-digit interceptions. You know who those quarterbacks are, guys? Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. That is the company Derek Carr is in. Yeah, he is treated as if he's some scrub, as if he is a Jared Goff, a Baker Mayfield, somebody that everything needs to go right around him for his team to win football games. Yet they've somehow managed to go 7-9, 8-8 with one of, if not the worst supporting casts we've seen in the NFL over the last 2 years. And they're now sitting here 3-0, very reminiscent of his MVP-esque season before he got injured, when they were 12-3, I believe, when he went down. If Derek Carr stays healthy, the Oakland Raiders are going to be a good football team. They will be a playoff team. And my final Overreaction Monday, Jamar Chase is breaking every single wide receiving record, rookie wide receiving record. It's a joke now. That connection is so worth it. Yes, you want to protect
Joe Burrow.
Yep. With Penei Sewell at the time, but they've already linked up for what, 4 touchdown passes?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. We're 3 games in.
And you know what? I will admit this. I did say on an Overreaction Monday previously that I said the Bengals will regret not taking Penei Sewell, but after watching the regular season, I agree with Adam. The guy is special. It's more so like if Jamar Chase came to the Lions, he would not be playing this well. It's the connection between Joe Burrow and him is just magnificent. I think they're like 10 consecutive games with catching a touchdown, going back to college. So, you know what? I agree with you, Adam. And I was the same person who said the Bengals will regret it. But at the same time, man, you could find offensive linemen. I mean, Jamar Chase, he looks special. You
can find offensive linemen. You can't find a connection. Like, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase already they already have a connection. It's well documented.
Mm-hmm.
They won a natty together. They're more than capable of being a dynamic duo in the NFL. And you kind of need that. We see the Brady Gronk, the Peyton Manning, Marvin Jones. You look around, Drew Brees, Michael Thomas, Drew Brees, regardless of who it is. You always want that one guy that you can trust on. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, right? And now you see it developing over in Arizona, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins. Not that you need a number 1 wide receiver to win a Super Bowl, no, but it does help.
Mm-hmm. Especially young quarterbacks.
And it makes your young quarterback's job a lot easier. I'm really happy with what happened over the weekend. A lot of college football to get to tomorrow, but when we get back from the break, we gotta go back to the Lions. But our very own Kennedy has her overreactions.
Thank
I am
you.
so excited to hear this.
Okay, yeah, mine's kind of a hot take this morning, but I'm excited because I want to see your guys' reaction, or you'll be like, what are you talking about? But anyway, this team is 4-0. We're talking college. We're not talking Notre Dame. They're in a conference, and that conference is the ACC. Here's my take. I think that Wake Forest can win the ACC this year. Hear me out. The other teams, they're not killing it. Clemson doesn't look that good. We saw Miami play. And I always keep tabs on Wake Forest because Notre Dame used to always play them. So I like to keep up with Wake Forest. Coach Dave Clawson is actually a phenomenal coach. He does not get the clout that he deserves. And Sam Hartman, their quarterback, is also pretty fabulous. Let me look at his stats here. 66.1 completion, passing for around 961 yards. It's not bad. So I think Wake Forest could win the ACC this year. That's my take of the morning. It's my overreaction. Wake Forest, ACC. Let's go.
Yeah, the ACC with Clemson especially hasn't looked very good. So you know what? Wake Forest probably has a chance. Louisville, what, second? Yeah. What do you think, Adam? I don't think it's crazy. Wake Forest might have a chance to win it. Unless Clemson steps on the gas. I don't know.
Clemson is awful right now.
Yeah, they're awful. Defensively not bad, but
yeah, average. They're
average,
playing.
Yeah.
No, I'm not buying Clemson at all. I told you early on. I made the comparison preseason. Jim Harbaugh's first 6 years to Dabo Swinney's and how similar they were. And what happened to Dabo that hasn't happened to Jim Harbaugh yet? He got his quarterback. He got his Deshaun Watson, and it followed up with Trevor Lawrence. And now you have a quarterback at Clemson that doesn't look like he can throw a lick, let alone run a lick. Yet he was a Heisman favorite going into the year. At least be a Heisman favorite and go out and like ball out and say, hey man, I'm doing everything for this team and like we're just not good enough. Like, Dabo, you haven't surrounded me with anything good. The surrounding talent isn't the issue here. I really think they took a step back with their run game. They obviously took a step back at quarterback.
Yep.
And I'm not sure that's something they can recover. Now, will Wake Forest win the ACC? Probably not. It's a fairy tale story right now, 3 games in, but I don't see them winning the ACC. It's very unlikely. They will lose to Miami. They will lose to Clemson. I don't see it happening. But if they do, I would be very happy.
I told you so.
I would be very happy. And I would take the I told you so.
Okay. Well, coming up next, you guys, we're going to pivot back to the Lions, so stick around for that. But first, we got to hear from Jeff about our friends at Papa Romano's.
All right, so listen, guys. On Fridays, it's pizza day for most people. And if you're thinking, what should I get for this Friday, this lovely Friday for pizza? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. It's this brand right here, Papa Romano's. They have handcraft pizzas that have been really made them a Detroit favorite for over 50 years. They have house-made dough, hand-cut veggies, and fresh cheese really that make the difference. The same quality goes on to all their pizzas, salads, subs, and pitas. Order now at paparomanos.com.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10.5 months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
a graduate
of Northwestern Tech. Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Woodward Show on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here on a Monday. All right, like I said, we're pivoting back to the Lions. As we know, they lost 19-17 yesterday. All right, you guys, I need your final takeaways and your outlooks on this game. Adam, I'm scared. How are you feeling about the remainder of the season after yesterday?
I am somewhat optimistic for the remainder of the season. Again,
good.
I'm not going to look too much into the win-loss column. They can go 2-15.
Right.
And I'll sit up here and defend Dan Campbell. I can't evaluate this head coach with that garbage of a roster. Having said that, I can evaluate the head coach based on their week-to-week improvement, player development. Are we committing less penalties week to week? Are you handling the clock the way you're supposed to? How's your clock management? It's already happened twice now. Ideally, it develops later on in the season. He needs the experience. He only was an interim coach, and he was the interim coach for an awful Miami Dolphins team, so not really much to learn there. Again, new defensive coordinator, OC. He's really putting a lot of trust on the guys around him. I don't think this is the year to judge Dan Campbell, but reaction from the game is, it's so unfortunate that on a Monday morning, coming off of that defensive performance, we have to sit up here and talk about how the Lions blew the game, how they mismanaged the clock, how they offered the Ravens a free timeout to get their mental together. And we're here doing everything except praising the game plan going in to limit Lamar Jackson. Granted, in the first half, it probably should have been 24-0. It really should have. But you know what? It didn't play out that way. And what the Lions do, they made second half adjustments. They came out and scored on all 3 of their drives. And the defense really flustered and got to Lamar Jackson. Those are good things that I can take away from the game. I can look at individual performances. Derek Barnes, thank you. Anzalone played pretty well considering how bad he's been. And then you look at A.J. Parker, open field tackling, phenomenal. Granted, they got beat over the top on a multitude of times. The only problem was Baltimore were dropping those opportunities. But that's still not a positive. It is a negative. You can't have busted coverage that often. So again, we'll look at this game and say, well, they lost to a record-breaking 66-yard field goal. They lost because they gave up a 4th and 19. They lost, Adam, because the delay of game. They should have. Shut up. Shut up. The Lions lost that football game because their inability to play how, again, not my words, their head coach's words. We want to play with aggression. We want to be aggressive in late game situations. We're going to go for it on 4th downs. We are going to not give our opportunities, our opponents an opportunity to beat us. Dan Campbell's words, not mine. And Dan, you finally find yourself in the situation to back up what you've been saying since you've gotten the job. And lo and behold, he plays it conservative. 3 straight runs on a drive where you were hitting Baltimore all over the field on play action and dump routes. You run the ball 3 times. You get your field goal, and you actually pressure Lamar Jackson and make him run for his life 3 straight plays. He is exhausted. He's mentally down. The entire Ravens team feels that hope is gone. The game is over. And what do? You not only call a timeout. I don't even have a problem with the timeout, let's say, if I don't. It's how conservative you came out of the timeout, knowing that their offensive line couldn't handle 4 edge rushers. You sent out 3. You sent out 3. Why? Because you wanted to play the odds. We wanted to limit. You can't get anywhere past this line. Why? We've seen the Niners didn't even pay attention to what happened in Detroit yesterday. What are you doing? You had an opportunity to live up to everything you have been preaching to the Detroit Lions fan base. Yes, your players are fighting for you. Yes, they're playing for you at an extremely high level, effort-wise. Great. You had an opportunity to put your balls on the table and make a statement and say, hey, when I said we're going to go and be aggressive, I meant it. I'm not giving Lamar Jackson an opportunity to beat me. The same way John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson didn't give Patrick Mahomes and company an opportunity to beat them on Monday night. You had that opportunity, Dan, and you blew it. Now, if they would have, what if they didn't score? What if they turned it over? What if? I know, guys. I'm going based off of his words, not mine. And this Monday morning, I'm actually very sad for Detroit Lions fans. Not because, oh, we got screwed, Adam. We got screwed. The refs are out. No, they're not. Shut up. No, they're not. The refs aren't out to get you. They're really not. Unfortunately, the Detroit Lions have a history of finding ways to lose football games they have no business of losing. And when I told you this project is not going to be all biting kneecaps or we're going to play hard, that's not enough to fix this organization's history. You do understand you are going up against history, a history of losing. One loss like this could set back your entire project. Now, it's only year 1, so you'll get away with it. But year 2 and 3, Dan, if you want to pull off this quote-unquote same old Lion stuff, you'll be out of town just as quickly. And again, I'm not calling for Dan Campbell to get fired. But you have to come up here and actually say what happened and how it unfolded and why it was such a bad decision. And if you want to admit it on Monday morning, we can agree and we can move on, and I can say individually defensive players stepped up. I liked what I saw in offense the second half. The first half was egregious. Jared Goff looked awful. Second half, he actually came out and played relatively good. Nothing great, nothing special. DeAndre Swift really accounted for a lot of that. Khalif Raymond made some really good catches. TJ Hawkinson was limited the entire game. Jared Goff missed him open a few times with his reads. He missed a few open receivers downfield. But regardless, you had an opportunity to beat a Baltimore Ravens team that many considered a playoff team. And you somehow blew it. And you only blew it because of your decisions. Not because the Lions and their history of losing. No, no, no. You had an opportunity to back up what you've been preaching all offseason. And you didn't do it. And then you followed that up with a timeout, giving their team a breather when you had them on the ropes. And you followed that up by calling a conservative play. There's nobody the Detroit Lions should look at this Monday morning outside of themselves in the mirror. Not the referees, not the fans who booed, not the kicker, not the Ravens kicking a 66-yard record field goal, nothing. You should look yourselves in the mirror because you put yourselves in an opportunity and a situation to win that football game, and you didn't. Jeff.
I mean, your point about the not necessarily counting on the win-losses this year is on point, because that's something that I share with you. It's not about how many games the Lions win. We predicted what we think. I predicted the Lions would win 6 games. Now, will they win 6 games? I don't know, but when I did predict 6 games, I also acknowledged they might be 0-3 at this time. So I'm not entirely surprised, and I won't be surprised if they win less than 6 games. What I am surprised about is just in the fashion they lost. And I understand that the decision-making, at least thus far, 3 games into the season, there's been some questionable coaching decisions. You could talk about the Packers right before the half. This game, calling a timeout, allowing Lamar Jackson to change his play. Those are things I hope Dan Campbell we can work out in the future, because if we're having a season where we're 2-0 or 3-0 and you're gonna have a win, you're gonna have a loss like this on your record, it's not good. You got to be able to win games, no matter if you're the Detroit Lions, the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, who cares? You got to be able to close out games and win, not in this fashion, a 66-yard bomb to lose. So it's a tough pill to swallow, but nonetheless, I mean, they showed flashes on the defensive side of the ball. This is something that we haven't seen thus far. The first game, we were down 38-10. Second game, well, yes, it was 17-14 at half, but the Packers scored on every single drive downfield, so that's not good. This game, they play well defensively. They hold a former MVP. You know, they get him to 50 yards rushing, 50% completion percentage. Yeah, there were some drop passes, but nonetheless, they were stressing him out in the pocket. So that's what you want to see. You want to see a defense, especially with young pass rushers, play well. But the question is, how will they use this performance into next game? Will they play well? Will they play like they did in the first game? You got to see consistency out of this young team. That's what you want in any young team, because it's hard to just stack performances on performances like this. But yes, the offense was abysmal. Anthony Lynn and Aaron Glenn, them both, don't have a lot to work with. I don't think Anthony Lynn, he doesn't even have a number 1 wide receiver at this moment. You have Khalif Raymond, who's playing special teams for you, catching the most balls. I believe it's Khalif and then DeAndre Swift. So that's depressing. You want to see more out of Quintez Cephas. You want to see more out of Amon-Ra St. Brown. You need consistency, and that's the big word with this team is consistency. Both sides of the ball. I need consistency with coaching. It's just in general. That's what you want to see, especially out of a team who we're trying to change the culture. Dan Campbell's trying to turn things around, and I think thus far you could take some positives out of each game. I mean, the thing that stands out most to me is this team's difficulty playing the same football for the entirety of the game. I mean, this last game, they played good football the second half until the last 30 seconds. The game before, they played a good half of football, played a horrendous second half of football. And in the first game, we don't even got to talk about it. 38-10, they played pretty much horribly until the fourth quarter. You've got to see this team come out better and finish stronger. So that's what we got to see, if the defense can keep it up. But nonetheless, Aaron Glenn did coach a pretty good game. I mean, without Trey Flowers, Okudah, iffy. He was missing some others. Bobby Price played well. A.J. Parker, like Adam mentioned, played well. Derek Barnes, loved what I saw out of him. There is some positives out of this team. It's little things we have to see corrected. The coaching decisions. Can Dan Campbell learn not to call a timeout and give Lamar Jackson a second to change his play call? Can we blitz Lamar Jackson after getting success off of blitzes and then changing to only rushing 3? And I get the concept. It's 4th down. You're only rushing 3. But at the same time, if you're letting Lamar sit in the pocket and for 15 seconds and decide what he wants to do, you're in trouble. So, again, it's the little things with this team. And hopefully going into game week 4 against the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field, we see some improvement in that area, because you're versing a team who's Similar on the offensive side of the ball. If they have Justin Fields, they haven't looked good at all. Defensively, they're better, but it's a good test for the Lions. They're going away to Soldier Field. It is what it is. But hopefully throughout the season, we see some good strides of football for this team. But
I could sit up here and defend the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell as much as I wanted to if they weren't so conservative late in the game. I could. I would rather them have lost trying to win the football game than trying not to lose it. I really could. I would be more happy this Monday morning that Dan Campbell and company actually went out, were aggressive, and tried making a statement. They went and took the win from the Baltimore Ravens. Not, we were gifted it. They really blew a lot of opportunities to win the game, not only early on in the first half, but even in the second half. Baltimore really missed a lot of opportunities. We kind of walked away with that one. They didn't show up to play regardless. For the rest of the season, let's look for coaching improvement on decision-making, clock management, actually showing the aggressiveness everyone loves to talk about. Let's see player development. Pick 3-4 players on each side of the ball. Watch them grow. That's what you need to do if you're a Detroit Lions fan this season. And if you do that, you'll actually be happy. You'll be impressed. Because so far, Lions Twitter, if you haven't woken up yet, you've predicted this team to win each of their first 3 games. Oh, well, they came close, Adam. They came close. I can pick them to win every single game, and I'm going to be right 3, 4, 5 times throughout the year. Is that what we're doing? It's not about picking if they're going to win. How are they developing? How are they progressing? We know they're going to fight and compete under Dan Campbell. But are they going to develop into a good football team? They're 8, 9, 10 players away from being that. So how about right now we just watch player development, and ideally you can pick 3, 4 players on the defensive side of the ball this year that you can actually build on going into next season when you have a Jeff Okudah coming back and other players from injury. And then you draft defensive players in the draft. Is that too much to ask for, Kennedy?
No.
And
I just don't know why you would call on Lions Twitter. You do it to yourself, and so I know.
I don't do anything to myself. I just speak the truth, and people don't like it.
And let me address Mr. Gerald in the chat, because he said, I think a lot of coaches would have called the timeout there to make sure the defense was on point. Absolutely. I disagree with you, because if you look at it, imagine if the Lions reversing, we were against last week. You got Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur. You got Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. There's certain, things you don't want to let happen, and that's letting a quarterback change the play, especially when Lamar, you know how he is. You rush him back into a play, and you hope he makes a mistake, but sitting there and letting him change the play, come on, it's Lamar Jackson. Imagine if that happened to Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes. You would be screwed. So that's all I had to say. Just had to address that. It makes 0 sense.
All right, well, coming up next, we're going to address the whole Ford family situation, them getting booed during Calvin's ring ceremony. That's coming up next, so stick around. Make sure you put your thoughts about it in the chat so we can see. But before we go, we need to hear about our new friends over at Guardian Alarm.
Well, speaking of the defense, they played well last night. And you know who always plays well? It's Guardian Alarm, because they get it. Good defense on and off the field helps you feel secure. I mean, they have state-of-the-art technology that helps you feel safe, 24/7 local monitoring. And Guardian Alarm also has convenient features that let you check in on your home, control lights and temperatures, and detect smoke or carbon monoxide when you're not home. It will even let you unlock and lock doors. Call 800-STAY-OUT today. That's 800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm has been trusted for over 90 years at keeping families safe.
Hi, I'm David Hall from All Financial. With historically low interest rates and 5-star service, you could pay your mortgage off faster without increasing your monthly payment. Get started now at 248-308-5000 or chat with us online. Call hallfirst.com.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Woodward Show on the Woodward Sports Network. All right, so lots of kind of drama at the Lions game during Calvin's ring ceremony. I didn't love it. This is what bothers me. It makes anytime fans act out of a team that I root for, it makes me embarrassed to be a part of it. And then people are, saying Lions fans are trashy, disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. The 2%, that acts this way kind of reflects the whole, unfortunately. So I didn't love the booing because, you know what, it was supposed to be about Calvin, someone that we love and cherish, and, we should have just remembered that and, screw the Ford family. They've definitely done some mess up things, but also it was mostly directed at Shiela, and justice for Shiela. I don't care. I like Shiela, and I will say that with my entire chest. The rest of the Fords, nah. Shiela, I like. She tries hard. She's involved. And I don't think she deserved the booze, but whatever. I want to hear it from you, Jeff. What did you think?
Well, it's one pride speaking, letting the Fords know how they feel, along with, being a little intoxicated. I think some of those fans were intoxicated, but nonetheless, the point still stands, all right? Shiela Ford, as much as we love Shiela Ford in terms of her personality, and now we have new ownership, and she's bringing light to the organization, the point still stands. Pay Calvin Johnson what you owe him. There's been little to no good moments in Detroit Lions football, in entirety. Yes, you had a playoff win, not in my lifetime, but before my lifetime. And I agree with Lions fans. You give Calvin what you owe him. There's been so many moments that Calvin has created for me and for other Lions fans. If it wasn't success on the field, it was highlights. It was having a player like Calvin a part of your organization. And that goes for Barry Sanders. Those two guys right there were big pieces of the Detroit Lions franchise. And the fact that we have issues with both of them is just it's hard to process. I mean, you have a guy in Calvin Johnson who has openly told you, listen, if you just gave me the money you owe me, whether it's, and I could care less if you take a hit on the cap, if you pay it to him in dividends, whatever the case may be, I'm sure Calvin would be willing to work with you. But the point is, you give Calvin what you owe him, and now you have a guy who not only he could just be an ambassador, but also can be a mentor to young receivers. He can just be an advocate for your organization because the Lions are trying to turn around their stereotype as a horrible franchise. They're getting Dan Campbell, trying to turn things around, and you're still going to treat Calvin like this? Guess what? It's not good. It's not a good message to other teams in the NFL. It's a horrible message. I mean, Jim Irsay had no problem paying Andrew Luck, and you got the Lions over here doing Calvin dirty.
You're such millennials.
How am I a millennial?
You and Kennedy, you guys are soft. They should have booed even louder.
Should have threw food.
I hate you.
I'm being so serious right now. This is not a game anymore. You guys serious? This is the same Shiela Ford that gave her support and her backing to Quinn Trisha. The same
Okay, so did
lady.
half the fans. They were so excited to bring in someone from the Patriots who's a defensive
I didn't
guru.
know the fans ran the team. I didn't know the fans ran the team. I didn't know the fans ran the team. Do they?
No,
Am I missing
but
something? Because I'm gonna go apply for that
every single
job.
person backed that at the beginning. Everyone was excited.
No. She backed it after year 2, Kennedy, not year 1. After year 2, she doubled down on Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. No. She had it all coming. Their inability to handle Calvin Johnson, they had it coming. Whether, it ruined Calvin's ceremony, kick rocks. Every and any opportunity you have to boo the Fords, you do it. You know why? Because they are the reason you have enjoyed nothing in 60 years of supporting this football team. And I'm sure you will continue to support them for another 60 years. This city is very loyal. The fan base is amazing. But you don't own the team. And again, may I remind you guys, I don't care if it's politically correct or not. She had it coming. The Fords had it coming. How they don't resolve this before his Hall of Fame induction is already atrocious. The fact that they let him show up to Ford Field without having it resolved is unbelievable. And it's unexcusable. And you can sit up here and say, she didn't deserve it. Sheila's turning it around, Adam. She's doing a better job than everyone else did before her. Well, what are you comparing her to? Shit? Because that's what it was prior. So I'm glad that we've upgraded from shit to crap. Must be nice. She had it coming. She had it coming. I'm not having it this morning. Yes, was it tasteless to happen during Calvin's ceremony? Absolutely. But what was even more tasteless is that we were at halftime with Calvin Johnson and the issue wasn't resolved. That is even more distasteful. And that is classless. That is why you've been nothing for 60 years. Because of incompetent, dysfunctional decision-making from the Fords. Shiela Ford is the same woman, may I remind you, that after 2 years of dysfunction under Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia, this is the same lady that trusted them with the number 3 overall pick. The same lady that gave them that year to upgrade at corner because they were going to win now. They had a win now roster, guys. This is the same Shiela Ford that told you we can win now. It's unacceptable. We can win now with this roster. We believe in them. We're going to take Jeff Okudah at 1. We trust what we're doing. Good job. And here we are. Justin Herbert's already a top 8 quarterback in the NFL. Although I wouldn't have wanted Tua, he's 9-3 or 9-4 as a starter in the NFL. And you're sitting here with zero backup plan. You have Jared Goff at quarterback, no weapons at wide receiver. You're going through another rebuild. It's always been a rebuild. She had it coming. She had it coming. And again, was it distasteful that, or classless that it happened during Calvin's ceremony? That was supposed to be about Calvin, right? It was supposed to be about Calvin. But we didn't take care of Calvin before we got him in front of our fans at Ford Field. Which is worse? Yeah, I thought so. I'm sorry, you're both wrong on this. She had it coming, and she deserved to get booed.
I'd never even said she didn't have it coming. I agreed. I said she should have been booed. I just said the people that were booing probably were intoxicated, but at the same time, it was their true feelings. It's their feelings, how they felt. They were all fans of Calvin Johnson. They watched all those years with Calvin Johnson. And yes, I understand. I get people's point. There's people in the chat that will say, and people all around in Detroit, in One Pride community, they'll say, well, Calvin Johnson doesn't necessarily, we don't need to pay him that money. He doesn't deserve it, whatever the case may be. You're wrong. He deserves it, absolutely. And it's a sign of respect. It's a sign of thank you for what we've put you through, your body, all the times you didn't win here. Just playing for our organization, repaying him. Maybe in the future, other good players can come to Detroit because we're treating Calvin Johnson with respect. So I don't know. That's a good idea. But it just doesn't make sense to me. I completely understand why the people booed. Was it a little disgraceful because Shiela Ford was probably got a little feelings hurt? Yes, it is. But at the same time, it's the only way to get the message through. You need to. I don't agree with anybody saying we shouldn't have paid Calvin Johnson. He left. He made his decision to retire. No, absolutely not. You're absolutely wrong. It makes zero sense.
So you don't believe Calvin Johnson should be paid back his 1.6
So he should. I'm just agreeing with people that are really saying that. Like, there's people that are literally like, Jeff, why are you overreacting? He shouldn't have gotten paid. The Fords don't need to pay him that money. That just frustrates me, that argument. It makes zero sense. It's a sign of respect. That's exactly what it is.
Angela, you're wrong. This wasn't her first draft in Detroit. Actually, she's very famous right now, Shiela Ford is, because she oversaw the Detroit Lions passing on a future quarterback for a corner who is suited up for, 9 games now in 2 years? He will miss games into October going into next season, and it's already 3 years into his rookie contract. Congratulations, Angela and Sheila. I wish you the best. Congratulations. That's what you have. Congratulations. Kennedy, do you have anything to add?
I don't care. I'm still saying justice for Sheila. She's not
justice
the Ford.
how, though?
She's not the Ford to be pissed at.
Justice how? Just answer that question for me. Why doesn't she deserve that? Tell me why.
It wasn't okay. The Bob Quinn was the reason Patricia was here. I genuinely think that Sheila is more involved now, and she's proven this. She's so tight with Dan Campbell and everybody else in the front office, and she was not doing that before. I don't think she cared that much before because she was watching what her mom, Martha, and everyone else before her was doing, and they weren't as tight-knit with them. She's literally making sure she's in all of those meetings now. They were
that's great.
MIA before.
That's great.
Trying.
She's been in all those meetings, and we've drafted Jeff Okudah, and we stuck with Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia.
This draft.
Oh, my goodness. Congratulations. Brad Holmes is actually a professional. He's someone I'm actually very high on. Just because Brad Holmes is doing a very good job doesn't gloss over everything Sheila's done wrong and that she continues to do wrong. I'm sorry, guys. No, she deserves the boos. That was the... When do Lions fans actually have an opportunity to boo her? Well, why don't we talk about that? When is she ever actually, like, in front of the podium, in front of the fans, where she can actually hear feedback from them? That was their only opportunity. And they booed Shiela in support of Calvin. Don't forget that. Yes, it kind of, it was a weird touch to the ceremony. But you shouldn't have let Calvin walk in to that ceremony at halftime without figuring out how you were going to give him back the $1.6 million if you wanted to fix it. If you don't want to fix it, stop playing games and come out and say, we don't intend on paying Calvin Johnson his money back. We have zero intentions of doing it. Come out and say that, and I'll respect you more for it. At least say it. Don't sit here now, watch his Hall of Fame induction go by, where he doesn't even talk about the team for a majority of the time. Wow, that's a great look. Let him come in to Ford Field week 3 of the season and still not have it done. Show up at halftime. You saw what happened. You heard what happened. And yet we're supposed to sit up here and defend Shiela. I'm not having it this morning. Sorry. Not going to happen.
All right, well, we can agree there. I do agree that they should have figured this out way before the ceremony. We've been talking about this for months now, and it should have been figured out because it puts fans in a weird spot and in a frustrating spot. Do I pick Calvin Johnson, who I love and, have such fond memories of, or do I pick the franchise that I'm a fan of? It's a horrible position for fans to be in, and it's unfair, and they should have figured it out forever ago.
Any other organization, competent, successful, figures this out. They just do. It's figured out a long time ago. It doesn't build for this long. If they really cared about Calvin Johnson, they wouldn't wait for him to get inducted to even have the conversation. So no, they don't care. And I don't want to hear that they care. It's all BS. And if they give Calvin back his money, great. But it's too late in the game for you to even give it back and actually still have my respect. It's done. We got to go to break, don't we, Kennedy?
All right. Yes, we do. Jeff, will you tell us about our friends at Lady Jane's?
Yeah, listen, come by to Lady Jane's if you want to get your hair taken care of. Because, guys, let's be honest. We all like simple stuff. Like football 5 days a week. We like things uncomplicated. And like Lady Jane's haircuts for men, you walk in, you sign in, you sit down, you watch some football, whatever you want to watch on the TVs. And before you know it, you're handsome and clean. You get to Lady Jane's 7 days a week. Open 10 to 8. You walk in anytime because it's wicked awesome.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust-resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Woodward Show on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here on a Monday. Apologies. I never get heated on the show, and Adam just brought it out of me.
I wish you got heated over something else, but it's okay.
I know. It's okay. We still love each other. You guys lay off Adam. We're fine.
No,
All right.
Keep it coming. I don't mind.
Yeah, that's right. Keep it coming.
I don't mind.
He actually likes it, so he's fine. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and talk about the NFC North as a whole. We're going to discuss the situations that every team is in, the outlook for the season, and the pros and cons of each team. So why don't we go ahead and start with the Vikings, Adam?
All right, Vikings. Minnesota, I predicted to win 9 football games this year. How they're not 3-0 is beyond me. Kirk Cousins has played the best football of his life. They missed a tap-in field goal. They missed a layup week 2 against Arizona. And they probably should be 2-1 or 3-0, but all right, regardless, they're 1-2. Kirk Cousins is playing the best football of his career. Very underrated right now. He is playing so well. I got to give him credit. I basically call him an uglier version of Matthew Stafford with a less arm. He's actually throwing the ball around very well. He's limiting the amount of turnovers. He looks good, and they ran all over. They ran all over Seattle with Andrew Madison. They ran with, my goodness, like that duo combination can be something if they use Cook and Madison more. I really like it. Minnesota's defense has been everything I thought it would be coming off all the injuries they had last season. They're getting to the quarterbacks. They've gotten to the quarterback every single week. I'm really happy with Minnesota pros. Their offense is dynamic. It's going to be very difficult to limit them throughout the season. Their defense is getting to the quarterback, another pro. Kirk Cousins not committing turnovers, another pro. Cons, I'm not sure what I'm getting out of the defense in the secondary, if it's going to be on a consistent enough basis. How the secondary improves throughout, we'll see. But Zimmer is a damn good head coach and an even better defensive coordinator. So he's going to get that defense solved. And I think this is still a 9-win football team, potentially even 10. I think it's going to be difficult for them to get a wild card spot, considering how loaded the NFC is with good football teams in certain divisions. You look at the NFC West. Those are 3 teams that are likely making the playoffs. So where Minnesota fits in, I'm not sure. But we'll have to wait and see how the season plays out. I still think they're doing great. I'm actually very happy for Minnesota. They've really fought hard for this, so good for them. They're only 1-2 right now, but I could see them easily being 6-4, 7-5, 7-6 at some stage in the season, really fighting for a wild card berth. Jeff.
Well, they had an impressive win over the weekend, beating the Seattle Seahawks at home. I thought the Seahawks would win that, but similar to your point, they're 1-2. And that's the shocking part. As well as Kirk Cousins played, he has 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Kirk Cousins looks great, but the defense has been shaky at times. You saw what happened against Arizona, but overall, they're still behind the Packers in terms of defense. The Packers have a worse defense, so the Vikings can step it up. You got Kirk Cousins playing well. Devin Cook missed last game, and Madison, to your point, helped them win that ball game. So, listen, I got the Vikings still winning around 8 games. Around that number. Could be 9, could be 7. I don't know exactly, but starting 2 to now 1-2 is not where they wanted to start, and they have a tough schedule coming up. They have the Browns next week, then the Lions, which you can argue they catch a break there, but after that, it goes the Browns, the Lions, the Panthers, and the Cowboys, only to go to the Ravens and Chargers. They could possibly lose a good, 4 out of the next 5 games, but the Vikings are playing great football. They just beat the Seattle Seahawks, so they could surprise a lot of us. But in terms of the NFC North division, it does not change where I have them. They're still second in the division. It's just the win totals might change, but nonetheless, Mike Zimmer has been doing a decent job. It's really just this football team as a whole just is lacking some talent, but Kirk Cousins, no doubt, you can't argue. He's playing good football.
All right, I like it. We've got to move on and talk about who we're playing right here in Week 4, and that's the Bears. Adam, what are your thoughts?
Chicago, not Detroit, is actually the worst team in the NFC North right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Way.
Yeah, right now. 3 weeks into the season, Chicago are a much worse football team than Detroit.
Wait, hold on. Will you give me Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Jared Goff? Will you give me that one?
Come on, it's his first start.
I know.
If we're going to come up here and talk about Justin Fields as a bust, I mean,
I'm not saying he's a bust.
It's a bit childish, but no, I'm not going to entertain that right now. But just let me say this.
Good.
Matt Nagy really needs to look himself in the mirror. And so does the GM. You are 7 to 8 players, very similar to Detroit, away from actually having a good football team. You damn near got your future franchise quarterback that you believe in killed against Cleveland. 9.5 sacks, I believe, was the total, or 9 sacks total, excuse me. 4.5 of which were caused by Myles Garrett. You couldn't have helped him anymore. The Bears' offense is inept. Yes, they have nice pieces. David Montgomery, Allen Robinson, even Mooney. I like a little bit in the right situation, but this Bears team is god awful. And you want to talk about making a statement for your first win? The Lions really blew an opportunity to beat Baltimore, but you can make a statement win by beating down on the Bears, which I actually think is a possibility this week for the Lions, given their first 3 games of the year. I'm more high on the Lions right now than I am on the Bears. The Bears are awful. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL. Matt Nagy is on the hot seat. He bought himself time getting the quarterback. But having to throw him in this early, I told you would be a problem. You needed to bring in Justin Fields 6, 7, 8, 9 games into the season. Why? He's not ready. Zach Wilson's not ready. Mac Jones is limited. Trevor Lawrence isn't ready. Trey Lance isn't ready. It's very rare that rookies just walk in and they're the bee's knees for the season. And when you don't surround them with a good team, it makes it even more difficult for them to succeed. Mac Jones is in New England, which is why he's looked kind of good in the first 2 weeks. Trevor Lawrence, well, he plays for the Jaguars. A rookie head coach, a roster that really isn't all that great. And he's being asked to do way too much. Same with Zach Wilson. The same with Justin Fields now in Chicago. Way too early to judge any of these rookie quarterbacks. But these are the downsides to playing rookie quarterbacks this early when you know they're not ready. When you know they are not ready. It's tough to play them, and that's what happens. Jeff?
Yeah, the Bears, I mean, it's unfortunate for the Bears. It's worst case scenario that Andy Dalton went down with that injury because he wasn't playing horribly. Justin Fields came in my opinion, too early. We had the same opinion earlier in the season when we discussed when Justin Fields should make an appearance, and we mutually agreed it would be best for Justin Fields to appear later in the season. Soak in some football. Soak in some NFL football before you start on the field. You saw how all these rookies look so far. I mean, you saw Mac Jones yesterday. Everybody's struggling. So the fact that Justin Fields didn't play a good game yesterday does not surprise me. He's in a inept offense, an offensive line that can't block. And Matt Nagy needs to get this offense under control because it looks atrocious. You can use Justin Fields in more ways than you can Andy Dalton. He has a brighter future. But in terms of being ready to play right now and win games, it's tough. Andy Dalton is their starter. He's obviously injured. They're in a tough situation, and the Bears just haven't been able to get it together. I agree with you. I think the Lions, in terms of how they look, the Lions are 0-3, the Bears are 1-2, but the Lions have displayed better football in these 3 games, and the offense definitely looks better. They scored a total of 67 points to the Bears' 40. So, the defense is the Bears' defense. They've always been known for a good defense, but in terms of the Bears as a whole, they're the bottom of the NFC North division. And take that with a grain of salt because the NFC North may be the worst division in football. But the Bears, yes, they're a bad football team. They're still ways away. And even getting Justin Fields, they're going to have a lot of work to do after this season.
All right, well, I like it. We'll move on to the team that will probably win the division. That's the Packers. They had an awesome game last night. If you missed it, comeback win against the 49ers. 30-28. Adam, what are your thoughts on the Packers right now?
Green Bay are what we thought they were. I mean, did you really expect anything else from Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur? You really think for a second that they were going to show up and just start the season 1-2, 0-3?
Right.
You really think that?
Because they were 0-1.
Matt LaFleur is the same head coach that's been to multiple NFC championships in the last 2 seasons, back-to-back, actually. 13-3, 13-3. You can question Aaron Rodgers, his will, his effort, his mental state right now, but that looked like a pretty engaged quarterback on the sideline, if you ask me. I'm not surprised by the Green Bay Packers. I had them winning going into San Francisco, and they pulled it out. It was a very, very close game, a game I could see easily being rematched in the postseason this year. But I gotta say, is there anything else new with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers? Through all the dysfunction that they had this offseason, look how they handle it. Isn't that something to learn from? Devontae Adams showing out. Aaron Jones starting to look like the Aaron Jones we all know, one of the best running and pass catching backs in the NFL. The defense looked okay. A lot of questionable penalties on both sides of the ball last night. It was a very frustrating game to watch. But regardless, the Packers are a team that will win 10, 11, more likely 11 or 12 football games this year. They're not going to be on the down. They're going to play it in the wild card. They're going to play in the divisional round likely. And now whether or not they get back to an NFC championship game, I think it's too early to say. But I doubt it. But we'll have to wait and see. I like Green Bay. They were the division winners going in. They will be the division winners come the end of the season, and that's not going to change. You can question how engaged Aaron Rodgers is. Again, I question and I ask you, please, go rewatch last night's game and tell me if that wasn't an engaged quarterback. He had every reason to be disengaged with that late touchdown from San Francisco. And he went out, and he let his team down, no problem. With ease. That is the best team in the division right now.
And the main reason why I've been so high on the Packers is their ability to just turn it on offense. I mean, you saw game one, they were down. They lost 3-38. Everyone had them out, counted out. They were 0-1, but we knew they'd bounce back. They're in a bad NFC North division. They're still going to make the playoffs. I predict them to win, 11 games to end the season. They went 13-3, 13-3 both seasons. Matt LaFleur will have a good season this year with Aaron Rodgers. They go probably 11-6 or 12-5 is probably more likely. But the Packers, at least the last two games, you saw with the Lions, they lose their first game. They go down 17-14 to the Lions, score on pretty much every possession after that, beating the 49ers, who have been their nemesis the last 2 years in the NFC Championship game. Obviously, besides the Buccaneers last year, but before that, the 49ers always seemed to beat Aaron Rodgers. So it was good for him to finally get that win. But in terms of the Packers, nothing surprises me. You got Aaron Rodgers, who was an MVP last year, someone that I think I'm more high on than Adam of Aaron Rodgers, but at the same time, they always win football games come the regular season, so it's not a surprise. I think they finish top of the NFC North and they make the playoffs, but we'll see how far they ultimately go. But at the same time, it's just the Packers. They're going to win football games.
All right, well, I like it. We ready to head to break, or do you have anything else to add, Adam?
Well, I mean, I want to touch on the Lions.
Oh, you do?
That'd be.
Yeah. I thought we've been touching on them the whole time.
Yeah,
so
no, but still, I do want to offer some pros and cons and a seasonal outlook for Detroit. They're sitting 0-3, but they've lost to 3 playoff teams, or teams we consider to be fighting for the playoffs. No shame in that. The defense, for the first time, has improved from week to week, and it was a significant improvement. They came in with a game plan for Aaron Rodgers. It kind of worked, but it actually didn't, because they scored on a majority of their drives in the first half, and then the second half, we all remember, 21-0. Regardless, you move on to Baltimore. You really flustered Lamar Jackson in the second half. The first half, you didn't at all. That game could have been 24-27-0 easily. Baltimore really, and literally, pun intended, dropped the ball on that one. But you still saw things you liked. You saw a pass rush. You saw the secondary kind of holding its own, but you also had a ton of busted coverages. So that's really not ideal, but you can fix that in the film room ideally. But like I always say to every Detroit Lions fan, pick 3 to 4 players on each side of the ball and see if they improve. And if they do, I would consider that a good season for you, because you're a quarterback and a few wide receivers away on offense, and you're about 7 to 8, maybe even 9 defensive players away from being a competent to good defense on that side of the ball. A lot of work to do, but let's try and look for some positives throughout this season. I'm not going to judge Dan Campbell year one. Like I've said it a million times. He can go 2-15. I could care less. You don't evaluate a head coach with that bad of a roster. But what I can evaluate him on is game management, clock management, team development, player development. And if he can pull off, similar to my comparison with Matt Rule, if they go 5-11 Matt Rule's first year, but they increased in every offensive and defensive category, that's a good thing. And you see how it's paying it off. You see how it's paying it off in year 2 for Matt Rule. If Dan Campbell can improve on every category across the board, offensive and defensive, or a majority of them, that is a good sign. And then you take that into next season, and then you see the team blossom and start to get put together well. A lot of work to do in Detroit, but don't look too much on the losses. Losses are irrelevant right now. They were going to lose 15 games, whether you liked it or not.
Yeah, I share the similar feelings. It's the wins and losses shouldn't be the main thing everyone's concerned about. It's addressing the flaws in this team come the 2022 NFL draft. Because if you improve the secondary and you get a good linebacker, which hopefully Derek Barnes turns out to be that, the defense can get right back on track. You had a Kyle Hamilton and whoever else the case may be. This defense can get back on track, but the offense, you need some wideouts. But the Lions are the Lions, man. They're in a very early stages of trying to get their legs back under them. They just went 0-3 to 3 great teams. And hopefully by the end of the season, you see some improvement. Next season, they address the holes in their team, and hopefully we have a different conversation next year about the Detroit Lions.
Well, Jeff, you know I love that. Kyle Hamilton to the Lions. Let's go. I'm ready. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about Lamar Jackson's comments on Dan Campbell's timeout. Brutal. Just twist the knife in a little further, why don't you? I don't care. But before we probably all get upset, we need to hear about someone that Adam loves, and that's his friends at BetQL.
Oh, BetQL. They actually did a pretty decent job. It wasn't as amazing as week 1 or 2, but hey, I had a winning record, 9-4, using BetQL bets this weekend. I was very happy with it. They advised me to take the Lions to cover. I did parlay it. Unfortunately, the Jets let me down and ruined it regardless. Sign up today using code WSN for 25% off any of their subscription, guys. Try it for a month. I promise you, you will win money with this model attribution. Whether it's prop betting, DFS, doesn't matter. They've got you covered. BetQL, right now, my favorite go-to app. It's the #1 app to compare betting odds. Believe me, you don't want to miss out on having this tool. All the data, all the analytics provided to you. I strongly recommend it. Again, that's BetQL. Use code WSN for an additional 25% off. We'll see you after the break.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Morning, Art. Morning, D-Mac.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Woodward Sports, featured on the Roar 93.5 FM, 99.1 FM, and 94.7 HD2. All right, like I promised, we've got to talk about Lamar Jackson's comments. I've got the quote right here, so let me read it to you guys. So, he went to another play, and that's what helped us get the field goal drive going. I was happy for that timeout because we needed a little breather. I mean, why do you call a timeout on 4th and 19? Can someone please tell me, Adam, please?
Look, Dan Campbell already kind of talked about this in the postgame. He basically justified it by saying we wanted to make the right play. We wanted to get our guys in the best position to stop them from converting the 4th and 19. Great. Well, not only did it not work, it was the wrong move.
Mm-hmm.
This is very similar to teams in basketball, let's say, where you call a timeout late when all the momentum is in your favor. Remember the Steph Curry shot against Oklahoma City?
Yep.
Steve Kerr could have called a timeout. He let Curry dribble it up the court. He shot it basically from half court, made it game over. When you have momentum, you really, really shouldn't mess with it. Because it did take those 30 seconds for your team to go out there and not only throw the game away, but you actually gave Baltimore an opportunity to script a play and catch their breath. Lamar Jackson, I've said it multiple times today, was running for his life on the final drive. You were doing such a great job at getting to Lamar Jackson. The offensive line couldn't protect him if their lives depended on it. And you call a timeout after he scrambles to the sideline on 3rd and 19 and throws it away? And he looks desperate and exhausted and tired, and he looks flustered. You give a Baltimore Ravens team coached by John Harbaugh an opportunity to regroup and recover? That was your mistake, Dan Campbell. And yes, I actually appreciate Lamar's honesty here, because I'm sure he wasn't like, what? They really called a timeout? Why? Oh my God, I thought this game was over. Coach, what's up? All right, Lamar, calm down. Listen, guys, we need to give Lamar time. He'll make the throw. Here's the route. Here's the play. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to win this football game. Let's go, team. And that's what they did. They converted. And out of all odds, of course, there was the delay of game after that. Shoulda, coulda, whatever. You didn't lose the game because of a delay of game. And I promise you, if the delay of game was called, the Lions likely would have found a way to lose on the Hail Mary, or would have got a PI call at the goal line on the Hail Mary throw, or defensive holding, or pass. Anything would have happened that could have happened would have happened. It was meant to be. Why? Let's circle back one more time. Dan Campbell preached this offseason, we're going to take off kneecaps. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to punch you in the face. We're not going to let you beat us. And here's your first opportunity, Dan, to really drive that message home, not only with your locker room, but with the fan base. And what do? Jared Goff on that drive is 3 for 3 for 65 yards. You take the ball out of his hands, Baltimore couldn't stop or cover anything. And you run the simple run plays, really, clock management. Yes, you played your odds, Dan. That's what you get. John Harbaugh last week didn't play the odds. He took the game by the throat and said, no, we're winning this football game. I don't care what we have to do to get it. 4th and 1, I trust my quarterback. I trust my offensive line. I trust my team. And I sent that message. You know who didn't trust their team, trust their quarterback? Dan Campbell. And whether you want to admit it or not, his actions spoke for him, not his words. Now, Adam, you're overreacting. It's a hot take, Adam. No, it's not, actually. If you wanted to deliver and drive your message home, you would have been more aggressive on that drive. You had Baltimore reeling. Again, we talk about momentum. Baltimore were reeling. They couldn't stop you if their lives depended on it. And you gave them the ball because you wanted to take away the clock instead of just getting another first down and ending the game with a game-winning field goal. Where was the aggression? Where were the kneecaps? Where is all of this? Granted, you lost on a NFL record kick that only the bounce would happen against the Lions. Yes, we know. You somehow lost in that way. But let's forget about all that for a minute and remember what you failed to do leading up to that moment. You failed to deliver on the message you've been promising all offseason. And again, that doesn't mean you fired Dan Campbell. That doesn't mean I want him fired. No. I am holding him accountable for his words and his actions. I'm not making up anything here. And if you want to tell me otherwise, be my guest. I won't entertain it. Jeff?
I mean, that decision itself, we'll start with the decision to take the timeout. Didn't make a lot of sense. I get you want to put your defensive players in a good position, but they already were. They put Lamar on a 4th and 19. They were doing just fine. And the fact that you allowed him to take a break, have John Harbaugh and him discuss what play they want to check down to, change the play. It doesn't matter if it's Lamar Jackson, if it's John Harbaugh. It could have been Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. It could have been Aaron Rodgers. With Matt LaFleur. It could have been Tom Brady with Bruce Arians. It does not matter. This happens. This is a NFL move, a very common one. The quarterback, especially in Lamar's position, hasn't found success. They're able to take a deep breath and change the play. That's NFL football, and they capitalized on it. Converted a 4th and 19 and put you in horrible position. And yes, you can blame the delay of game call because yes, it was BS. It wasn't called, but that's not the reason why the Detroit Lions lost. It can't be the sole reason. There's other things that happened prior that they slipped up on. The Jerry Jacobs running out of bounds on the punt that we got a turnover from that was gave back and we had to repunt it. It's the little things. It's the penalties you have to eliminate. It's the little mistakes, the coaching errors, the taking a timeout when you're not necessarily supposed to, going back to last game versus the Packers, it's trying to get in the end zone before the half instead of leaving it up to just a field goal. It's just little things. And, good teams have a play for every situation they're in. I mean, you don't have to grant them time to think. Once you put them in a bad position like the Lions did, you capitalize. You don't let them go through their plays and decide what they want to run. You already decide, we're going to run this play, and you're going to have to try and beat us out of it. It just didn't make sense. That ending to really put Lamar in a better situation. He literally said himself, he went to another play. That's what helped us get a field goal drive going. I was happy because that timeout, we needed a little breather. So that's all you take from it. It's a coaching error that ultimately could have won the game, but there's other things that led to the loss. I mean, there wasn't just the timeout. It wasn't just a delay of game. Those are two key parts, but the Lions need to play better offensively earlier, and they wouldn't even have been in the position to lose to a field goal. Or scoring a touchdown at the end of the game, and even if they score a 66-yard dink, a double doink, it doesn't matter. You still win the game. So I agree with your take, Adam. There is bigger fish to fry with this team, and I don't think the Lions necessarily, as well as the defense played, the offense was atrocious. They might not even deserve to win that football game because the Ravens wanted it more, and that's all that mattered at the end of the game.
Well, look at your offense. All right, guys, let's be honest. We have to go to break in a few minutes, but your first 7 possessions resulted in 0 points and 6 punts. Your first 7. Your next 3, touchdown, field goal.
Inconsistent.
Baltimore probably should have been up 27-24 nothing at halftime, but, you know, it happened, whatever. But you can't excuse what happened in the moments before Lamar Jackson and company ever had the ball. And if you want to excuse that one on offense, fine. I know you can't excuse what happened on 4th and 19. Pre-timeout, post-timeout. Both inexcusable. So we'll leave it there. Kennedy, we got Fish's facts, don't we?
Yeah. Stick around, you guys. We've got Fish's facts coming up next. You know that is like one of my favorite things of the entire day, so stay for that. But first, we need to hear about our friends over at Levels.
Guys, Levels is the premier cannabis dispensary in the local market. Get 10% off by mentioning Woodward Sports on the website or in person. And make sure you download the Enjoy Levels app today. You can start saving money on all of your purchases. Remember, it's available on the iOS and Android store. Again, visit Enjoy Levels, the premier cannabis dispensary. We'll see you after the break with Fish's Facts.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10.5 months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
a graduate
of Northwestern Tech. Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Is it time?
Yeah, it is.
Fish!
Go fish.
Fish facts.
It's fish!
Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to Monday. The weekend was this past weekend. I had a fabulous weekend. I hope all of you lovely people also had a fabulous weekend.
Oh, I had a great weekend.
We had a lot of football. I was up. I mean, I got okay sleep, but that's the weekend. It's what I get for having fun and being a sports fan. We had a bunch of stuff happen over the weekend, some finals. We had Ryder Cup, which USA did win. Thanks for mentioning it, guys. Really appreciate the love on golf.
Hey, Fish, you know I bet on that.
We had tennis, which we won't talk about. The Team World got killed in tennis. They lost like 14-1. Ouch. What else? Lions. But there's other NFL games. Rams, they won. So any Buccaneer fans, you're probably not in a good mood right now. We go out to a video from the game from a game that happened on Saturday. Again, there were several games to choose from at this hour. We'll go out to Australia, where this was at 5 in the morning. I believe it's actually at 5:30. Anyways, you guys don't care. We go out to a game in Australia. This was the game from Saturday, Demons and Bulldogs, where the Demons won 140-66. That guy kicked 5 goals in the game. So that was, oh, what a feeling. Toyota, proud sponsor. So good for them. We go to the facts, and we have some hopefully good facts today. Baseball. Last weekend of baseball this weekend. Well, regular season. Of course, they got the playoffs coming up. St. Louis Cardinals, while you guys are probably watching college football and NFL on Sunday, the St. Louis Cardinals were doing this. Most consecutive regular season wins within month of September/October in MLB history. The Cardinals have 16 wins in a row. Giants 26, Cubs 21, Pirates, Quakers, Buccaneers 18. So they're looking very good. That is an active streak as of Sunday, which is yesterday. So go Cardinals. I know Maz was probably watching. He's probably the only person watching the baseball. Everyone else is watching college and NFL. Cardinals, they could be a team to beat in the World Series. Probably not, but they'll probably lose to like the Giants or the Dodgers or one of those. We go to, thanks for talking, guys. Really appreciate it. We go to the Packers yesterday, who did well. They did win their game after a lot of doubt that they were going to win their game, although Adam would say there's no doubt in the Packers winning. They won. And the Packers now have won under Aaron Rodgers' last 9 primetime starts, tied for the second largest streak for starting QB ever over the last 10 seasons. So you got a guy.
Yeah, this is just absurd. Ray, put that graphic back up there. I didn't see. What were you saying, Fish? I'm sorry. The Packers have now won Aaron Rodgers' last 9 primetime starts. That's tied for the second longest streak with the starting. Well,
it's
yeah.
great. Too bad he can't do it in the playoffs.
I was just stole my joke. All right. That is essentially what that means, Fish. He wins primetime games but loses very important games. That's what it is.
He does. All right, we got a Lions fact for you, which
Lord.
a lot of you probably saw this over the internet that was coming out yesterday after the Lions lost on a field goal. From this guy, Justin Tucker. NFL record 66-yard field goal in the Ravens' win over Detroit on Sunday marks the second time in Lions history that they have lost over a game on a record-setting field goal.
Yeah.
Let's go back in Maz's day on November 8th, 1970, where the Saints' Tom Dempsey hit a then-record 63-yard field goal to beat the Lions in New Orleans.
Fish, I don't give a damn. Just open up the whole roof only when a kicker's about to attempt something, because our indoor stadium benefits these guys.
No,
all right?
you know what? Honestly, I was
ridiculous.
thinking the exact opposite. Because Matt Prater in Denver had such an advantage kicking long field goals because the wind was typically with
True.
him, or because the altitude.
Yeah, the altitude.
In a dome setting,
He's bombing them.
he bombed 66 yards. That is so impressive. That is unbelievable.
And it
honestly.
doinked in. It dinked in. God.
I mean, you
Hey,
got to
man,
talk to
Fish,
the
how's
Lions.
that 10-7 looking, bud?
It's looking fine. I mean, 0-3, I got to look up the stats for 0-3. 0-2 is 12%, so 0-3 is probably 5%.
Fish,
2%.
to your point, they were eating a little bit of kneecaps on Sunday. They were eating some kneecaps. They just took the L ultimately, but
They were eating kneecaps.
Fish, do you believe the Lions are going to win 6 straight right now like Stick does?
No, and I never said they can win 6 straight.
Well, how are they going to win 10 games?
Good question. Well, they're going to win. So they're 0-3, so they got 4 more losses till 7. And they got
I'm
10 wins.
sad we don't have
They're
the
gonna
video.
Win, loss, win,
but
loss, win,
Stick's
loss, win,
reaction
loss.
post game
Oh, I was gonna
to the
bring that
Lions
up.
losing, like I'm just gonna be totally transparent so nobody thinks this is all BS. I died laughing,
Oh, me too.
and
we
it killed
figured.
me on the inside because I was just as shocked as he was when that field goal went in. I had already tweeted my congrats to the Detroit Lions.
And he left it up, everyone. It's still there.
Yeah, go
did.
check it out. But I'm being serious now. Like when it went in, I just died laughing. And it wasn't
figured he
in
was gonna
spite
make
of
it.
the Lions. I just couldn't believe that is how they would lose.
I figured you
Only
would
the
make it.
Lions could lose that way. And like the evil in me was like, of course it did. And then like the good in me was like, oh my goodness, that is awful. Awful.
Yeah. My first reaction was to like laugh so hard I was crying, and then it turned into like, okay, wait, we actually just lost the game, and then it turned into like sadness and depression. But you know,
It was a good gig. I figured he would make it. The guy walks out there. He actually walked out twice because he walked out with 7 seconds left, and then they booted him back, and then of course 3 seconds left. Boop, kicked it up.
Spiro
Off the
nailed it
crossbar
in the
and
chat.
over.
Anson's reaction, who was hosting
Yeah,
it,
that was
who was
me.
co-hosting it with Stick,
Yes.
his reaction was it should be an NFT. That should be an NFT, honestly.
he was calling it too.
He was dying laughing in spite of his best friend's misery to the
Yeah.
right of him. He was dying laughing. It was gold. Anson, you're a national treasure. Thank
I
you so
loved
much
his
for
build
that.
up too. Before he's like, "This is a Lions thing. If he makes this is a typical Lions
Yeah, but I think that's
fashion."
what you tell yourself when you're like trying to curse
But,
it.
and then sticks over there like this. He's like,
trying to undo what's
not
about
saying
to
a
happen.
word. Oh, I loved it.
Yep.
If you didn't check out that stream, go watch it. It's on our YouTube. It's hilarious.
Speaking of greatness, thanks for alluding to greatness, guys, because we have great birthday today. Today's the 27th of September. There's only one sports-related... Well, there's obviously a lot of... Anyways, you guys are aware. There's one sports-related player that you guys will know. We'll throw this out there. Lil Wayne's birthday today. We got a rapper's birthday. Happy birthday to Lil Wayne.
Shout out to Tunchi. All right, Skip Bayless' favorite man. I love Tunchi. He's a good guy.
He does the music for the Undisputed intro as well.
He does.
That is,
he should do
that
some
is him
music
in
for
the intro.
Woodward Sports. That'd be legendary.
We should have him do that. Steve Kerr, it's his birthday today. Happy birthday to Steve Kerr, coach of the Warriors. A player as well.
Yeah, a lot of people say one of the overrated coaches, but it's a whole nother argument you can make with that.
I mean, his team was stacked. It's hard
It
not
was a
to
stacked
win.
team, Fish. That's what's hard. It's hard to argue it, but he is a good coach. Got to love him as a person. He's a good guy.
He is a good guy. I enjoy watching him coach the Warriors and play basketball back in the 90s and 2000s. And
Hit some
coach,
big
and he's
shots
good.
for MJ. Hit some big shots for Michael Jordan.
He did hit some big shots. And speaking of big shots, those are the facts. We'll be back tomorrow for Awesome Tuesday on the network.
Were those the facts, Fishy?
Yes, those were the facts.
Oh, heck yeah. All right. Well, tonight we've got Monday Night Football. The Eagles are taking on the Dallas Cowboys. We'll get into that tomorrow, I'm sure. And we're going to be hitting on Michigan State and Michigan football because we had so much Lions to talk today. We just couldn't get to college, so we apologize for that. But we got you covered tomorrow, so come hang out with us right here on Woodward Sports.